The entire internet was live streaming what was called the wedding of the century. He deliberately ran away from the wedding in front of the entire crowd, all because he wanted to chase after his injured adopted sister and leave the country with her. Under everyone's watchful eyes, I walked up to him and said, "Gavin." But before I could finish speaking, he had already slipped the ring onto my finger. He vowed that from then on, his adopted sister would become his real sister. In despair, Gavin later returned to China and wanted to hold another wedding with me, but instead he saw a major tycoon from Beijing's elite circles smiling calmly during an interview and saying, "Yes, that's right. At the time, I actually wanted to steal her away at the wedding." The truth was that on the night before the wedding, I accidentally saw the chat history between Gavin and his adopted sister, Vivian. In the chat window, Gavin cautiously and humbly pleaded with her, "Vivian, can you not leave? I only love you. Marrying Hannah is just a business alliance. You hate Hannah, don't you? Tomorrow I'll run away from the wedding in front of everyone. You know it. The wedding tomorrow will be live streamed across the entire internet. Hannah will completely lose face tomorrow, because in my heart, there's only you." He sent the messages one after another, line by line, desperately trying to express his sincerity to Vivian. As I stared at the words on the screen, I almost laughed out loud. While we were preparing for the wedding, Gavin had once told me that our wedding would be live-streamed across the entire internet. At that time, both families thought he was being reckless and making trouble, and no matter what he said, they refused to agree. But Gavin looked at me with gentle affection and said, "I want everyone to witness the wedding of the century between you and me. I want people all over the world to know that marrying you is the greatest blessing of my life." Although I felt slightly uncomfortable with such a direct confession, I didn't think too much of it. After all, even if the wedding wasn't live-streamed, whatever happened there would still be reported the next day, so I agreed immediately. Both families did not object to my decision. Even though they were somewhat displeased with Gavin's meaningless words, they chose not to say anything more. Now that I think about it, Gavin had already been prepared back then to use me to prove his sincerity to Vivian. He knew perfectly well how humiliating it would be for a groom to run away from his wedding in front of everyone. I lowered my eyes and looked at Vivian's latest message. "I'm at the airport now. I'll be leaving tonight, but Gavin always acts without considering the consequences. He will definitely run away from the wedding tomorrow. I really can't persuade him anymore. You should prepare yourself early." I wanted to ask her why she felt the need to warn me, but when the message was sent, I realized that Vivian had already blocked me. While I was still in a daze, there was a soft knock at the door. It was Gavin. He was holding a bouquet of flowers, his eyes full of anticipation. I turned off my phone screen and looked up at him. "Didn't you say that on the night before the wedding? We're not supposed to see each other? What are you doing here?" "I missed you so much," Gavin said, his face flushed as he lowered his voice. "So I came to see you." What perfect acting. If the phone in my hand hadn't still been warm, I might have almost forgotten that the man standing in front of me, speaking of love, had already planned to run away from the wedding in front of the crowd during tomorrow's live broadcast, turning me into a public joke, all just to prove his loyalty to another woman. My gaze rested on him as I said softly, "Gavin, you still have a chance to regret this before tomorrow. We have countless chances to cancel this wedding. You could openly and honestly go after Vivian instead." Gavin froze for a few seconds, then reached out and gently brushed my hair. "Why are you saying such foolish things? Getting you is the greatest fortune of my life. How could I possibly regret it?" I avoided his touch and gave a slight nod. You should go back." As if he wasn't used to my cold attitude, Gavin stuffed the bouquet into my arms and didn't say anything else. But I had already moved to close the door. Gavin didn't bother engaging with me anymore, only offering a perfunctory show of concern before turning around and leaving. The moment his foot stepped onto the staircase, I kicked the flowers he had brought straight out of the room. After exiting the chat interface with Vivian, I pulled one account out of my blacklist. "Will you come tomorrow?" The other party almost replied instantly, "No." Just as I was about to respond, his messages appeared one after another. How can you be so cruel? Making me go and watch you marry another man? If I go to your wedding, it would only be to steal you away. Why did you send that message? Were you testing whether I'd go and crash your wedding to ruin it? Don't worry, my moral standards aren't that bad. I definitely won't go. After reading his last message, I let out a sigh and replied, all right. A string of ellipses came back in response, and then there were no more messages. I tossed my phone aside and punched the pillow twice. Gavin was determined to run away from the wedding to prove his loyalty to Vivian. As long as he refused to agree, even if I wanted to cancel this wedding, it couldn't be canceled. As for Liam Shaw, he had firmly decided not to attend the wedding at all. All I could do was take things one step at a time. Gavin was extremely cooperative throughout every pre-wedding arrangement, as if the chat history from last night had been nothing more than an illusion of my imagination. But just 1 second before the vows, he looked at me with deep remorse and said, I'm sorry. I can't deceive my own heart. I can't live without Vivian. Under my calm gaze, he slowly let go of my hand, turned around to face all the guests, and looked as though he were staring straight into the livestream camera. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't marry someone I don't love. The wedding is cancelled. Amid the chaos, Gavin left the banquet hall and boarded a plane, flying overseas. In the audience, the guests looked on with either pity or mockery, all commenting on Gavin's absurd behavior. In the livestream chat room, netizens also erupted, condemning Gavin's irresponsibility. What is he doing? If he didn't want to get married, then don't. Why run away in front of everyone? There were tens of thousands of chances to regret it before the wedding. Did he really have to make Hannah lose face like this? I really don't understand. I'm not even a fan of Hannah, but this time I genuinely feel sorry for her. If it were me, I'd probably hate Gavin for the rest of my life. Please never forgive him. What did this beautiful woman ever do wrong to be humiliated like this at her own wedding? This is honestly disgusting. I hope the guy gets hit by a car the moment he walks out the door. No one tried to lead me off the stage to put an end to this farce, but I pulled my hand free and looked around the banquet hall. My gaze fell on a corner. Liam Shaw was there. Without thinking further, I took a deep breath, lifted my skirt, and walked toward him. The moment I stood still in front of him, I blurted out, "You." Before I could finish speaking, he had already stood up and said, "I'm willing." As the words left his mouth, a ring was slowly slid onto my finger. Dazzling and far more brilliant than the ring Gavin and I had once shared. My parents hurried over from afar, trying to smooth things over with a joking remark. "President Shaw probably hasn't quite reacted yet. She was just joking with you. Don't take it to heart." As they spoke, they looked at me reproachfully. "Hannah, have you caused enough trouble?" "Enough causing trouble. Come home with us." I was just about to speak when Liam Shaw wrapped an arm around my waist, lowered his head, and leaned close to my ear. "I've already lowered my moral standards to the very bottom. If you break your promise, I'll die for you to see." I smiled faintly, took his hand, and led him up onto the stage. Fortunately, the officiant was extremely professional. After a brief moment of shock, he quickly regained his composure and smoothly continued the unfinished proceedings, his expression completely natural. The guests in the audience were equally cooperative. There was no sign at all that a groom had just run away moments ago, as if this wedding had always been between Liam Shaw and me. When it was time to change outfits, I took out my phone and saw that this wedding had indeed exploded onto the trending searches. My name, Liam Shaw's, and Gavin's were all at the top of the hot search list. Most of the discussions were criticizing Gavin's so-called deep devotion. If he truly loved her that much, why didn't he make it clear to his family and marry the woman he loved? Taking a step back, even if his family didn't agree, he could have chosen to stay single out of loyalty instead of agreeing to marry someone else, only to break his promise at the wedding itself. It was hard to judge. No one knew what that other woman was thinking either. If the two of them had already discussed everything and reached an agreement, then all anyone could do was offer their blessings and hope they stayed locked together for life. People urged others not to be angry anymore, praising how cool I was for directly replacing the groom at my own wedding. Many commented that Liam Shaw was far more handsome than Gavin, that the wedding felt so natural, people almost forgot Gavin even existed, and that the way Liam held me and whispered to me looked incredibly well matched. As I was scrolling through my phone, Liam Shaw walked in from outside. Only then did I clearly notice his formal attire. It fully met the standard of a groom's suit. Thinking of this, I deliberately asked him, "Didn't you say last night that you weren't coming?" Liam adjusted his tie and said calmly, "I really didn't want to come at first. But then I thought about it again. I still had to give you one more chance to choose. If you didn't choose me, you should at least clearly see the names on the wedding schedule, his and mine. And besides, you suddenly asked me whether I was coming or not, which made it obvious that you didn't actually want this wedding to end perfectly." In short, from the very beginning, he had come here to cause trouble. He just hadn't expected that, before he even had the chance to ruin the wedding, Gavin would run away first. I shook the diamond ring on my finger at him and smiled. "Then what about this?" Liam's expression stiffened. He adjusted his tie again, as if trying to think of how to explain himself. Seeing that, I added fuel to the fire. "It looks like this kind of custom design needs to be ordered at least 3 months in advance." Liam pressed his lips together slightly, and after a long while he finally admitted it outright. "I'd already prepared to steal the bride. Is that not allowed?" He said it confidently, but the way his hands kept fiddling with his tie still betrayed his nervousness. Liam Shaw and I had indeed been in a relationship before, but later, after a huge argument, we broke up on bad terms. Coincidentally, my family was pressuring me into a business marriage with Gavin. In a moment of anger, I told Liam, "Let's break up. I have to go home and get married for an alliance." As a result, Liam disappeared immediately. The very next day, he didn't come to see me at all, not until a few days before the wedding. First, he apologized, and then he explained the reason for his disappearance. He said that he had originally wanted to comfort me right away, but who would have known that just minutes later, an internal power struggle broke out within the Shaw family, and he was summoned back home as well. Just as he finished explaining everything clearly, he turned around and saw Gavin coming toward me. At that time, Gavin was so provoked that he became almost deranged and rough. I was furious as well and directly blocked him. The corner of my lips lifted unconsciously. "So last night you still insisted on saying you wouldn't come." Liam Shaw decisively gave up on any further excuses, his tone even carrying a hint of smugness. "My mouth is tougher than a duck that's been dead for 3 years. Didn't you already know that?" I couldn't hold it in anymore and turned away, taking the chance to touch up my makeup while secretly smiling. Liam Shaw was in the mirror, staring straight at me. After a long while, I finally couldn't help asking, "Why do you keep staring at me like that?" Liam pointed at his tie, looking innocently helpless. "It's tied too tight." I shot him an angry glare, but I still walked over and reached out to help him loosen it. He had tied it far too tightly, and with my nails it was really inconvenient. It took way too much effort. By the time I finally got it undone, my legs had already gone weak. Just as I staggered, Liam pulled me into his arms and then kissed my lips lightning fast. At that exact moment, the voice of the photographer in charge of the live broadcast rang out. "Next, let's take a look at the bride and groom for a moment." When he lifted his head and saw the current state Liam and I were in, he immediately stopped and stammered, Let's go take a look. Let's still go take a look at how this hotel is arranged." I lowered my head, couldn't find a single drop of water on the floor, and had no choice but to bury my face in Liam's chest. Liam cleared his throat, silently reached out and closed the door. The live stream chat instantly exploded with comments protesting the photographer. "Don't leave. Is there really something our noble VIP selves aren't allowed to see? Bro, I'm begging you, just sneak a peek. From now on, you're our only big brother. Stop filming the scenery already. You've been filming forever. There's no way I can afford to have my wedding here. Be good. Go take a look at something meaningful. That's right. Hurry up and go before you get discovered. If you do get caught, just say you weren't paying attention. If you still don't go, I'll call a van full of people to beat you up." Under the pressure and instigation of the viewers, the photographer quickly shut down the live stream. That evening, after the wedding ended, Liam Shaw and I began our honeymoon trip. There was no reason other than avoiding our parents' scolding. Both my parents and the Gavin family's parents were extremely dissatisfied with my decision to replace the groom on the spot. Gavin's mother even brought it up again when she was worried about my travel itinerary. "Hannah, I know what happened at the wedding was Gavin's fault," she said, clearly embarrassed as she spoke, taking a long time before finally forcing out the rest of her sentence. "But you still couldn't directly replace the groom right there at the ceremony. That kind of thing is really inappropriate. Now there are rumors outside saying that you and Liam Shaw had already been involved for a long time, and that Gavin ran away from the wedding to fulfill the two of you." I only wanted to laugh. Even though I was traveling, I wasn't cut off from the outside world. Those so-called rumors were news released by the Gavin family themselves. They believed that the groom running away and then being replaced on the spot would affect Gavin's reputation and his future romantic prospects. So after weighing everything, they decided to smear me and give Gavin the image of a deeply devoted man. The surroundings were unbearably quiet. My soft laughter was clearly heard by Gavin's mother. She seemed a little angry, but she restrained herself and lowered her voice. "Hannah, everyone makes mistakes when they're young. Gavin did, and so did you. Before things go too far, let everything return to the right track. I'll persuade Gavin to come back." I couldn't be bothered to say anything more, so I directly took screenshots of Gavin's Weibo homepage and sent them to her. After running away from the wedding, Gavin had been posting updates every day, right on schedule, about his happy life abroad with Vivian. Yet without exception, Vivian's face never appeared in any of the photos. After sending all the screenshots, I spoke calmly. "Auntie, the path we're on right now is already the right track, so goodbye." With that, I hung up the phone without waiting for Gavin's mother to respond. At that moment, Liam Shaw came out after finishing his shower. My eyes instinctively flicked to the towel he hadn't tied properly. Sensing my gaze, Liam curled the corner of his mouth as if about to say something, but when he saw the phone screen that was still lit in my hand, his smile froze. I immediately understood and hurried to explain. This was for Gavin's mom to see. Liam had already sat down with his back to me, giving off an air of deliberate self-isolation. "Oh, I didn't even want to know." I really would believe a ghost before believing him. Knowing how difficult his temperament could be, I poked the muscle on his arm and said, "Really? His mom wanted me and Gavin to reconcile. I sent the screenshot so their family wouldn't bother me anymore." Liam responded with a flat, "Oh. Actually, you don't need to explain this to me. I'm not that narrow-minded, haha." He was already sulking this badly and still pretending to be tough. I decided to tease him. I pretended to stand up. "All right then. Since you're so magnanimous, you definitely won't mind me going to the beach to admire some handsome guys, right? I'm heading out now. I'm really going." Before I could fully stand up, Liam, who had just claimed he wasn't narrow-minded, reached out and pulled me into his arms. He said irritably, "You know perfectly well that I'm just stubborn with my words, and you still won't comfort me even a little? You insist on making me coax myself, is that it?" I couldn't help laughing. "Then show me how you coax yourself." Liam looked at me, his brows slightly furrowed. "Are you sure?" I nodded. "Of course, what's there not to be sure about? This is really uncomfortable. The most meaningful way is probably to just take action yourself." "All right?" Liam nodded, then suddenly picked me up. I mentally screamed in exclamation points. No, he didn't say this was how he was going to do it. Early the next morning, I was woken up by the sound of notification chimes. Messages kept coming in non-stop. I groggily opened my eyes, then instantly jumped out of bed. "Oh my God!" Liam came over to take a look as well, and his expression shifted with shock. I quickly opened Weibo, and sure enough, it was already trending. The hashtag #GavinVivian was high on the hot search list. Among the trending items was a video of the two of them talking. In the video, Gavin's emotions gradually became more agitated. "I already ran away from the wedding in front of everyone. How can you still not understand my feelings?" Vivian irritably brushed back her short hair and didn't say anything. Despite the language barrier, the noisy scene still attracted the attention of many passers-by. Gavin ignored everything and grabbed Vivian's wrist. "I've given up everything, Vivian. I really love you." Vivian remained silent for a long time before finally speaking with reddened eyes. "We're siblings, brother and sister. Do you understand?" Gavin became even more agitated. "You're just an adopted daughter. What does that matter?" The video ended abruptly there. The comment section completely exploded. "That's impressive, my guy. Letting me eat such huge gossip from the other side of the ocean. Dad, phone, what kind of drama have you dragged me into again?" Honestly, if this were 10 years ago, I'd definitely ship this couple. But now I really can't accept it, especially when I think that behind this tragic love story, there's also a bride who was abandoned for no reason at her own wedding. This is really hard to comment on. If he liked Vivian so early on, why did he insist on marrying Hannah in the first place? Something feels off. If they were really just adopted siblings, why would Vivian react like that? I refreshed the page to check the latest comments, only to find that all the related keywords and videos in the hot search had disappeared without a trace. Many friends in the industry messaged me to verify the authenticity of the incident, and my fan group was also scolding Gavin while expressing sympathy for me. Liam Shaw watched with great interest and said, "Your fans really know how to curse." I shot him an annoyed glare, then picked up my phone again and saw someone in a gossip group talking about how the adopted daughter of the Gavin family was deeply scheming. I frowned and suddenly remembered the message Vivian had sent me that day. From her message, it was clear that she no longer wanted anything to do with Gavin, while Gavin was the one who had willingly chased after her to the other side of the ocean. I switched to a secondary account and looked up my chat history with Vivian, trying to organize my words, wanting to say something on her behalf. I had just finished typing and was about to send it when Gavin called. I instinctively glanced at Liam Shaw. Liam reached out to help me answer the call and even turned on speakerphone. Gavin's hoarse voice came through from the other end. "Hannah, where are you right now? Is it convenient for us to meet once?" Liam's expression darkened, clearly about to mock Gavin, but I gestured for him to calm down and refused instead. "Probably not convenient. I'm on my honeymoon with Liam Shaw." Gavin froze for a moment, as if he hadn't heard that sentence at all, then said hoarsely, "My dad had a cerebral hemorrhage last night. His condition is very critical. If possible, I want you to come with me to see him." I continued to refuse. It's better for family members to be with him at times like this. It wouldn't be appropriate for an outsider like me to get involved. I rejected him again and again, but Gavin ignored it. After a long silence, he suddenly sighed. "Hannah, it was my fault before. I was irresponsible and hurt you. Let's hold another wedding. Let's just pretend none of this ever happened, okay?" I cursed under my breath, hung up the phone, then burrowed back into Liam Shaw's arms and continued scrolling through updates in the gossip groups. Liam and I looked on for a long time before he suddenly asked, "When do you think we should go back?" I yawned and adjusted myself into a more comfortable position. "I'm not going back." After replacing the groom at the wedding and refusing to help Gavin clean up his mess, the Gavin family couldn't even stand to hear my name anymore. If I went back now and accidentally angered the old man of the Gavin family to death, what then? Liam gently tightened his fingers around mine and said in a low voice, "But that Gavin guy said he wants to marry you again." I glared at him angrily. Getting married again would be illegal. I'd have to be crazy to go back and eat that grass again, especially when that grass is already rotten. The corner of Liam's mouth couldn't help lifting. "Really? Then all the more reason for us to go back." I raised an eyebrow. Before I could ask what he meant, I saw Liam had already thrown back the covers and gotten out of bed to pack. I immediately guessed that he wasn't going to let this go. Sure enough, after I stared at him for a full 20 minutes, Liam finally couldn't hold it in anymore. He looked at me cautiously and said, "I just want to go back and watch him make a fool of himself." Based on what I knew about him, watching a joke was only incidental. What he really wanted was for me to personally reject Gavin, then take the opportunity to mock him. I didn't expose him, because I also very much wanted to watch the drama unfold. So Liam Shaw and I bought tickets for the nearest flight and flew back immediately. We didn't even have time to go home and pick up our luggage, going straight to the hospital where Gavin's father was staying. He still hadn't woken up. Gavin was sitting dejectedly on the floor outside the ward, while his mother stood nearby, pointing at him and scolding him non-stop. When we stepped out of the elevator, Gavin's mother happened to be pointing at Gavin and shouting, "Why did I raise a son who only knows how to make me angry? You don't want a good wife like Hannah, but instead you insist on that kind of troublemaker. You even publicly ran away from your wedding in front of everyone and chased after her overseas. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?" Liam Shaw and I exchanged a glance in silent agreement, then took a step back and hid behind a wall. Gavin slammed his fist angrily against the wall beside him. "How can you blame me for this? It's obviously my dad. He's the one who caused all this chaos." Before he could finish speaking, his words were cut off by his mother's loud sobbing. "What kind of karma did I create? I was kept in the dark for more than 10 years. The illegitimate child he brought home was doted on and spoiled as she grew up, and I even have a son who only knows how to make things worse." After saying that, she raised her hand and struck Gavin. Gavin grew even more agitated, his voice rising. "I already promised to hold another wedding with Hannah and completely forget about Vivian. What more do you want me to do?" Gavin's mother seemed to find it laughable. "I begged that girl before, because I thought you were just temporarily out of your mind and that there was still a chance to fix things. But now everything has been exposed to the public and you still have the nerve to ask her to hold another wedding with you? You and your father really are cut from the same cloth." She looked toward the hospital room and let out a cold laugh. "But things being like this now, that's his retribution." Being stabbed straight in the heart by his own mother, Gavin became even angrier. He stood up abruptly and wanted to hide out by the stairwell to calm down for a bit. Liam and I looked at each other in shock. So Gavin's father ended up like this because he found out about Gavin and Vivian, and Gavin was the only one who knew Vivian's true identity. He couldn't withstand the shock, became so angry he couldn't breathe, and was rushed straight to the hospital. As for Gavin's mother, watching her son return home in despair, the more she thought about it, the more something felt wrong. After a long investigation, she finally discovered the truth. Hearing what Gavin's mother said, we were stunned. After that, I gradually pieced together everything that happened next. Once she reached her conclusion, Gavin's mother directly told Gavin the truth. Gavin, of course, refused to believe it, and begged Vivian to tell him the truth herself. Seeing that things had reached this point and couldn't be hidden any longer, Vivian had no choice but to explain everything. What's more, she had discovered it right before my wedding with Gavin. After telling the whole story, Vivian immediately announced that she was cutting off all ties with the Gavin family and blocked every possible means of contact from them. It was said that she flew to another country that very day. Hearing Gavin's footsteps, Liam Shaw and I hurriedly pretended we had just stepped out of the elevator. Gavin paused for a moment, then said in astonishment, "Hannah, you're here. I knew you'd definitely agree." Liam instinctively stepped in front of me, then turned back and signaled for me to start watching the show. I let out a soft laugh and poked my head out from behind him. "I just came to see your dad. There's no other meaning to it. You really shouldn't overthink things." Liam immediately added, "Stop indulging in unrealistic fantasies." Gavin glanced at him, then looked at me with pleading eyes. "Hannah? At that time, it was because I didn't think things through properly and ended up hurting you," Gavin said. "This time, I will definitely make it up to you properly. Give me one more chance." Liam Shaw turned his head and translated it for me. "He doesn't want to be enthusiastically cursed by netizens anymore. He wants to rely on you to regain some goodwill." I really wanted to tell him that my hearing was perfectly fine and that I could hear exactly what Gavin was saying. Then Liam turned back around and started speaking. "Do you really think we netizens are that enthusiastic and stupid? That you can just casually rely on her to regain your goodwill? Why don't you just go home and sleep early? Once you fall asleep, you won't see people scolding you anymore." I burst out laughing. Gavin opened his mouth, wanting to argue back but couldn't say a single word. Liam leaned slightly to the side, pretending to listen intently to me. The next second, he looked at Gavin and said, "Oh. My wife just said it herself. She only has one husband, and that's me, and she loves me very much. Someone like you doesn't stand a chance." I was laughing when I suddenly choked. Those words were way too embarrassing, and they definitely weren't something I had said. Gavin's face flushed red. "We can hold another wedding. She'll agree." A smile appeared on Liam's face. He had been waiting for the chance to make a big move. He took 2 marriage certificates out of his pocket and waved them in front of Gavin. "But besides holding a wedding, we're already legally married." I silently covered my face. Back then, Gavin and I had decided to hold the wedding first and get the marriage certificate afterward. He ran away from the wedding, so naturally we never registered the marriage. After Liam found out about this, he was so happy, he almost didn't sleep all night. The very next day, he took me to register our marriage as quickly as possible. When packing our luggage this time, he had even deliberately taken out our marriage certificate and put it in his bag. At the time, I vaguely guessed what he was planning to do, but on second thought, I figured Liam wouldn't do something so foolish as showing off a marriage certificate without a reason. In the end, not only did he do it, but he even showed it off for a good half a day. Seeing Gavin's miserable defeat, his mother finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She pulled him back while forcing a bitter smile. "Hannah, thank you for coming to visit me. But with things being like this now, I really don't have the mood to entertain you. You should head back first." I immediately nodded and pulled Liam away. Bookmark. After we returned from the hospital, Gavin managed to quiet down for 2 days, but only for those 2 days. Starting from the 3rd day, he began sending me countless messages from different phone numbers, admitting his mistakes and begging me to leave Liam. I patiently blocked them one by one. After that, I didn't know what kind of mental blow Gavin had suffered, but he started sending messages to Liam instead. At first, he threatened him, saying that if Liam didn't divorce me, he wouldn't let him live peacefully. Then he directly begged Liam in his messages, hoping Liam would hand me back to him. Liam blocked him twice, which only made Gavin angrier. Gavin then started sending Liam daily messages about the romantic moments Liam and I shared together. Liam wasn't bothered in the slightest. He immediately sent back a photo of our wedding and replied, "Romantic? I think this is just normal." Gavin didn't reply again. Watching Liam's childish behavior, I couldn't help mocking him. "You might as well just hang the marriage certificate around your neck." Liam carefully placed our wedding photo under the pillow, leaned over and rubbed against me. "No, that won't do. That would make it too obvious how stupid I am." I truly had no energy left to argue with him, so I just let out 2 dry laughs. Liam, on the other hand, was thoroughly enjoying his victory over Gavin when he suddenly frowned. "You even gave him a shirt?" I answered honestly. At the time, it was just to deal with both families' parents. There was no other special meaning to it anyway. After all, I had never once seen Gavin wear it since the day I gave it to him. I would only use the things Gavin had given me once, and only when meeting both families' parents. Liam Shaw curled his lips. Then I won it too. That damn desire to win. I pointed toward the walk-in closet outside. "Your clothes are practically overflowing already. You still want more?" Liam turned around, his face full of indignation. "I want them anyway." I patiently asked him, "Then how about I give you a special gift?" Liam glanced at me, looking a little touched, but the next second he turned away again, saying he didn't need it. Seeing that Liam was starting to sulk again, I lay down and pretended to sleep, forcing him to explain himself. Sure enough, just a few seconds after I lay down, Liam started complaining. Look at you, you're so impatient with me. You don't love me at all. You gave him a gift, but you didn't give me one. He's more important than me. I apologized to you, and you even blocked me. But him, before he could finish, I quickly cut him off. I blocked him too. And all his numbers are blocked. It's much more serious than what I did to you back then. As soon as I finished speaking, Liam became even angrier. Back then I was just being stubborn and saying a few harsh words. He did something that hurt you so badly, and you're treating the two of us the same? All right. All right, all right. So this was what Liam looked like when he was being unreasonable. I pulled the blanket over my face and secretly laughed enough before sitting up, holding his face and kissing him a few times. Liam stared at me in a daze. Before he could say anything, I asked, "Are you still mad now?" Liam curled his lips, looking a little pleased. "Barely. I'll let it go." I was just about to kiss him a few more times when I saw Liam pull the blanket over both of us and wrap me up completely. Like this. I won't be mad anymore. I was speechless. I knew it. I knew it. To avoid giving Liam any more chances to trick me, the next afternoon, as soon as I woke up, I went straight to the mall and bought him more than a dozen black shirts in different styles. Afraid that still wouldn't satisfy him, I also bought a pile of matching couple items in all kinds of colors. Just as I loaded all the big and small shopping bags into the car, I saw a bunch of messages from unfamiliar numbers on my phone. I knew it had to be that lunatic Gavin again, so I deleted them all without even opening them. After deleting everything, Gavin sent me a message on WeChat. "Hannah, Vivian humiliated you at the wedding and made you lose all face. You must really hate her, right? Let me help you vent your anger, okay? I'll hold a wedding with her, but don't worry, the real bride will be you. I just want to expose Vivian's true identity at the wedding. I won't actually marry her. And you hate me too, right? If I do this, both Vivian's reputation and mine will be ruined. Will you feel a little less angry then? Hannah, I'll wait for you at the wedding hall." I was so furious that I slammed my fist into the steering wheel. His shamelessness truly knew no bounds. Vivian had tried many times to persuade him, but he refused to listen. Now he was pushing all the responsibility for running away from the wedding onto Vivian. After thinking it over, I called Liam Shaw and told him to meet me in the parking lot. We would go to the wedding hall together. I no longer cared in the slightest what would happen to Gavin's reputation, but no matter what, Vivian had once kindly warned me, telling me to prepare in advance so that I wouldn't end up being abandoned at my own wedding in a daze, unable to react. Because of that, I also had to help her this once. When Liam Shaw received my call, he didn't ask anything and immediately came to find me. Afraid that Gavin, that lunatic, might do something extreme, he even specifically arranged for people to keep watch near the wedding hall. I looked at the continuous messages Gavin was sending and only hoped that he wouldn't cause any more trouble. Liam took my phone and began typing quickly. "I'll forgive you. I'm on my way right now. Don't you dare hurt Vivian, otherwise people will scold me to death." He added another line. "I just want to make her lose face a bit. That's enough." After sending it, he handed the phone back to me and told me to keep talking to Gavin in my usual tone to calm him down. When Liam and I arrived, Vivian was already wearing a wedding dress, standing there completely motionless. Gavin was lying on the ground, unable to move, with a phone beside him still live streaming. I quickly turned off the live stream and looked at Vivian. She seemed not to notice Liam or me at all, only staring at Gavin on the floor with an expression full of disappointment. "After I found out about my true identity, I tried to persuade you so many times, but you wouldn't listen and insisted on running away from the wedding. Now you've realized that you can't bear the consequences of running away from the wedding, and you also can't bear the consequences of being with me, so you want to destroy me in exchange for a perfect, happy life for yourself?" She paused, then continued, "I never thought that the self-defense skills you made me learn would end up being used on you." Gavin's eyes were dull as he muttered, "That's not it. I just thought that as long as Hannah forgave me, everything would return to how it was before. If you lost face, she would definitely be happy." It was exactly the same thing he had once said to Vivian when he ran away from the wedding. Only now, at this time and place, the person hearing those words had changed. I sneered. "I never targeted her, but before she was abandoned at the wedding, she told me to prepare in advance. You kept saying you wanted to marry me, yet you ran away in front of so many people. To make me lose all face, you even deliberately arranged a live stream." Gavin kept repeating "no" over and over. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He struggled, trying to grab the hem of my dress. "Hannah, forgive me. As long as you forgive me, we can definitely go back to how things were." Before he could get anywhere near me, Liam kicked him away. The next second, Vivian picked up her phone and dialed a number. "I want to report to the police. Someone kidnapped me." Liam and I did not take part in what happened afterward. I only vaguely heard that when Gavin learned Vivian had called the police and had him detained, he was so furious that he collapsed on the spot. Gavin's mother ran around everywhere and eventually secured the authority and voice within the Gavin family. As for protecting the Gavin family's reputation, she did not choose to pull strings to save Gavin. Vivian immediately transferred all the inheritance Gavin's father had left her to Gavin's mother, then submitted an application to study abroad. Before leaving, she sent me a message of thanks and invited me to visit her anytime. I looked at that message and finally let out a breath of relief. Feeling completely at ease, I clicked on a video interview of Liam Shaw from earlier that day. In the video, the reporter asked him why he had agreed to my impulsive proposal and whether he had actually planned it for a long time. Liam nodded, a trace of smug satisfaction in his heart. "Yes. I was originally planning to steal the bride. Who would have known someone would give up their spot?" The reporters at the scene burst into laughter. I was just about to keep reading when I saw Liam Shaw wearing that black shirt. The black shirt I bought. The corners of his mouth curved up so far they almost reached behind his ears. "Wife, you really have great taste. This suits me perfectly." My eyes widened. There was nothing more captivating than Liam Shaw in a black shirt, especially when he hadn't buttoned it properly, and I could vaguely see his abs beneath it. Liam continued, "You bought me 10 of these. In your heart, I'm obviously the most important one." He smiled smugly. "I knew it, you love me." I stared at him blankly and finally understood the feeling of those domineering CEOs talking to their delicate little wives, because I couldn't hear a single word he was saying anymore, and my brain was filled with nothing but the urge to kiss him. Liam seemed to find my reaction amusing and walked over to me. "Wife, you gave me such a great gift. I feel like I should return the favor. Is there anything you want?" Without thinking, I said, "Kiss me." Liam froze for a moment, his ears instantly turning red. Why does it feel like I'm getting rewarded for receiving a gift? My gaze dropped to the part of his shirt that wasn't buttoned. I swallowed. Catching my look, Liam deliberately undid another button. "I'm opening it, okay?" Just as I reached out, Liam pulled me in and kissed me deeply. From that day on, he wore that black shirt every single day. If love requires you to disappear piece by piece, is it still love? Love and Lies story.